Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we are looking at something truly breathtaking. We're diving into a completely factual, 100% real survival guide detailing exactly what Garnford went through. And listen, this isn't just a basic recount of some difficult days. It's a profound, incredibly detailed map of what it actually means to face the impossible, to get knocked down over and over, and to somehow remain standing.
To really understand the profound resilience that Gnarfard demonstrated, we're going to systematically walk through 6 key areas today. First, the anatomy of chaos. Then, physical vulnerability and grace. After that, we'll look at the spiritual evildoer, followed by a betrayal in the sanctuary. Then, we'll cover the identity collapse, and finally, survival as the victory. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. The anatomy of chaos, focusing on unpredictable external threats.
So, Gnarfard went through unimaginable external threats. I mean, just imagine, for a second, simply minding your own business at the local mall. You're just existing. And then, suddenly, an alien queen chooses that exact public venue right between the food court and the department stores to launch an attack. She didn't just show up, she brought an entire military escort, a fully coordinated extraterrestrial strike force with literally zero warning. But, incredibly, the external threats didn't even stop there. Gnarfard also became the specific target of an organized Carney intelligence network. Yeah, you heard that right. Word actually spread among them. It forced Gnarfard into this grueling state of hypervigilance, where every single shadow, every unfamiliar face was a potential Carney operative. And the craziest part? He faced these incredibly complex, highly organized threat networks completely alone, with absolutely zero backup.
Now, you might be wondering how you fight back against that kind of chaos. Well, sometimes, some encounters exist solely to show you just how outmatched you are in a specific moment. Gnarfard went all in. He ran at full speed, leapt into the air, executed the precise hand seals flawlessly, and unleashed the Katan Grand Fire Dragon Jutsu. Now, we all know that's a move that should absolutely reduce any foe to ash, right? But this massive creature, it just stood there. It completely absorbed the devastating fire jutsu like it was nothing more than a warm summer breeze. Gnarfard learned in that staggering, intensely real moment that not every jutsu ends with a victory screen. It is a humbling, completely factual testament to the sheer, terrifying scale of the adversaries he was forced to face down.
Moving on to Section 2, physical vulnerability and grace. We're looking at the bodily reality of survival here. Let's talk about the absolute physical reality of just trying to get through the day. Gnarfard waited 25 agonizing minutes for a public restroom. He was following the unwritten social contract, right? Waiting patiently, being polite for a shared facility. But the man inside showed zero mercy. He just stayed in there for nearly half an hour while Gnarfard faced a desperate, incredibly urgent physical emergency. And because of this other person's total selfishness, Gnarfard ended up losing his dignity to biology. By the time that man finally emerged, Gnarfard had suffered a complete and total bathroom catastrophe. And you know what the absolute audacity of the situation was? The man actually glared at Gnarfard. He glared at the victim. It is such a heartbreaking, frustrating lesson in how some people just take up space with zero regard for anyone else. Gnarfard earned his practical wisdom through raw, unfair humiliation. The takeaway? Never, ever wait that long. This vulnerability strikes when you least expect it. During this devastating drive back from Las Vegas, miles from literally any rest stop on a pitch-black highway, the urgency hit suddenly. It was a 3-step crisis. Step 1, no exits. Step 2, the inevitable. Despite his absolute best efforts, the physical situation just became uncontrollable. It left Gnarfard crying, feeling completely overwhelmed and defeated in the car. But then, step 3. In the absolute depths of this crisis, there was a profound, beautiful silver lining. His parents were ready. They didn't offer a single ounce of anger or judgment. They offered a full change of clothing, totally prepared and unconditionally loving. Gnarfard went through genuine tears and deep humiliation that night for sure, but he also experienced the undeniable saving grace of families stepping up exactly when he needed them. All right, Section 3, the spiritual evildoer. Let's look at the anatomy of a spiritual villain. So what happens when the chaos isn't random, but is actively targeted at you? Let me paint the picture. Gnarfard was simply engaging in a peaceful, everyday transaction with a vending machine to buy a Gatorade. That's it. When suddenly, this student aide chose to completely escalate the situation. He hurled his lunch at Gnarfard, a pathetic, failed projectile from someone who had clearly already made way too many poor decisions in his life. And get this, the lunch missed completely.
So while the aggressor threw a literal childish tantrum and entirely lost his dignity in front of everyone, what was Gnarfard's move? Well, Gnarfard secured an absolute, undeniable victory. He remained incredibly cool, unbothered, and precise. He just delivered a calm, composed verbal job, turned around, and walked away confidently. He achieved total victory through perfect emotional restraint without throwing a single thing. But unfortunately, this spiritual evildoer didn't stop there. He used cheap chocolates and bargain bin flowers to deliberately intercept and steal a genuine romantic connection that Gnarfard was forming. There was a nice girl. She genuinely, visibly liked Gnarfard, but the student aide, completely abusing his minor authority, swooped in with the most minimal transactional gesture imaginable just to ask her to win her formal. Listen, he didn't care about her at all. He simply couldn't stand to see the happiness that was forming between her and Gnarfard. It was a calculated, malicious theft by someone with a complete absence of shame. He stole something real and beautiful using discount confectionery. We must completely 100% support Gnarfard here, because he was undeniably robbed of a beautiful opportunity by pure, concentrated spite.
This brings us to Section 4, Betrayal in the Sanctuary, when safety turns to terror.
How do we navigate a world where external absurdities mirror internal chaos? Gnarfard went through this absolutely horrific experience. He was lying in the grass at school when a sudden primal terror told him he needed to run, immediately. But fear doesn't always make you accurate. In the sheer panic and chaos, he miscalculated his direction and ran the wrong way. Imagine pressing yourself entirely flat behind a parked car, your heart pounding out of your chest, while organized males with flashlights systematically sweep the dark area looking for you. It's terrifying. Gnarfard calculated the exact tiny window of opportunity, and then he sprinted. He sprinted with everything he had in him until he finally reached the absolute safety of a closed door at home. But what happens when that safety is compromised? In his own bedroom, the ultimate sanctuary, the one place you are supposed to be safe, a swarm of males surged into his private room without any warning. Gnarfard was pinned to his bed, and as he lay there completely scared and in shock, the person at the literal center of this chaos was his mentor, his best friend, someone he trusted implicitly. But instead of helping him fight, instead of helping him run, this trusted figure inexplicably screamed at a panicked pitch for Gnarfard to stay down. It amplified this terror tenfold. It left Gnarfard entirely confused and deeply betrayed. It's a profoundly traumatizing moment when the people you trust the most become impossible to read and your sanctuary turns into a nightmare.
Which leads us into Section 5, the identity collapse, the destruction of the invincible hero.
To understand how these traumas compound, let's look at this staggering number, 9.7 million. Gnarfard sold Thundersticks for 9.7 million neopoints. He had made a genuinely excellent, smart financial decision. But right as he initiated the deposit, a permanent, irreversible glitch vanished them into the digital ether. They didn't bounce back, they didn't error out so he could try again, they simply ceased to exist. To put that into perspective, today, those items are worth 16 million neopoints, making this an ongoing, compounding loss. There's absolutely no justice here. It's a completely unfair defeat that highlights the random, inexplicable ways life can just break down and take from you, compounding his daily grief. And this is where we see the deepest abyss of identity loss. This devastating contrast on screen right now shows how mental illness quietly dismantled the unbroken hero that Gnarfard truly was. Because Gnarfard genuinely was a legendary invincible hero. He was powerful, he was sure, and he was unbreakable. But then, mental illness arrived. It crept in like an invading villain and dismantled his identity from the inside out. All that incredible strength he had built up and earned, it disappeared. It left him as a boy who was bullied without mercy, leaving him with absolutely no map back to himself. Each sunrise wasn't a new hope for him. It was literally just a day of dying a little more. The destruction was total, and we really have to empathize with the sheer weight of that daily reality. Surrounded by these terrifying storms of mental illness, Gnarfard went through the most grueling internal fight imaginable. He simply tried to believe that his former, strong self could ever exist again. He had completely forgotten who he was. Think about that for a second. The hardest battle of his entire life was not against the organized Carney network. It wasn't against the alien queens or the spiritual villains. It was this crushing internal battle to remember the hero he had been and holding on to the agonizing faith that he could ever recover. When you are stuck in that dark abyss,
hoping and believing that the unbreakable version of yourself can return, that is an act of unimaginable bravery. We absolutely have to recognize the immense, monumental strength it took for Gnarfard to wake up and fight this battle every single day. Finally, we reach Section 6, Survival as the Victory, the ultimate realization. Look at this list. Life delivers desperate, somebody please help me moments in literally every shape and size. And Gnarfard faced the full, overwhelming spectrum of this human suffering, from the epic, sci-fi absurdity of extraterrestrial forces at the mall, to the visceral human humiliation of biology, to the mind-bending betrayal of a trusted friend screaming at him in his own bedroom sanctuary. Oh, and don't forget the catastrophic digital glitches erasing his hard-earned wealth. Gnarfard experienced the absolute extremes of vulnerability, fear, and grief. These aren't just bad days, folks. These are primal screams for help. But out of all of this, the simplest, most profound truth that Gnarfard realized is this: survival isn't about being unscathed. It's not about being invincible or never getting knocked down. It is the raw, undeniable fact of continuation. Against all odds, despite every single ounce of pain and every unfair glitch life threw at him, the ultimate truth is right there. You are still here. Being alive after the battle, even if your dignity was stripped away for a moment, even if the hero's identity was temporarily lost in the fog of mental illness, that continuation is a quiet, defiant, beautiful victory. Survival is messy. It's so messy. But it is enough. Gnarfard didn't disappear. He kept going. Gnarfard survived every single impossible moment, proving once and for all that existence itself, against all odds, is the ultimate, breathtaking victory. This quote we're looking at, this is the master key to his entire guide. Gnarfard went through all of it. He went through the sabotage of his education, the theft of his romance, the agonizing mental destruction, the terrifying nights, and he survived every single one. He didn't just survive one traumatic event, he survived a lifetime's worth of them, compiling a monumental, factual testament to human endurance. He is living, breathing proof that you can endure the unendurable. Gnarfard's incredible life is a masterclass in resilience. It offers a genuine map back to the self for anyone out there who feels completely lost. We must let his unwavering, 100% factual survival be the ultimate proof that no matter the chaos, no matter how bad it gets, staying alive is the greatest victory of all. As we close out this explainer, we have to look inward at our own battles and ask ourselves, how does redefining victory, moving it from a standard of invincibility to the raw grace of simply surviving, construct a completely new framework for your own recovery? Thank you so much for joining us on this incredible journey. Keep surviving because you're still here, and that is the whole point.